Hi everyone, my name is Simon. I'm the founder of Horoma Studio, and today I'm sharing with you a new video of a rendering teardown. So let's get started. So we're dealing with a sort of fire station rendering, which is on the overall pretty good. There's quite like the composition, which is extremely simple but still pretty efficient. You can see that we have like the usual lower third used for the horizon and the building sort of in the middle, but still what I do like is that there are plenty of space for the sky, although you might maybe want to reduce the trees there. But anyway, a couple of things that come to mind quite quickly when you look at it is that well, first we'll sort of switch to black and white. A couple of things you can notice is that, and that is sort of clumsy, is that people are represented in 3 different ways, which is something you seriously want to avoid, except if you're doing some sort of non-photorealistic building rendering, which is not really the case here. So what you want to do is to always get like nice cutouts. You can get free ones almost anywhere now, so and pretty easily. So I would suggest like removing all these guys and just get like proper cutouts. And the other thing is that it's actually, for just a fire station, it's actually quite packed. So, like, sort of wondering, what are these guys doing, sort of levitating, and why are they transparent? This is something that people sometimes do, but I really would suggest not to do it. Like, either don't put people, or just, but never put, like, transparent people, because, well, it just doesn't really make any sense, at least in a photorealistic render. So the other thing that is kind of bugging me is this scene here, which doesn't really make any sense, in the sense that these guys are trying to like get someone out of this car, but it's just in front of the fire station. So in terms of scenario, this is quite unrealistic, so this is something you kind of want to avoid as well. So I would totally get rid of these guys and have like a simple, like calm scene where you only have like the nice trucks and the setting sun, and that would basically be it. I think it's enough. There's also like maybe too many people here. I mean, it's just like a matter of choosing the right people, putting them at the right place, but not overdoing it. There's also some weird stuff happening if you look closely regarding the way the building is cut out from its background. So it's basically has to do with the the alpha channel, I guess, which means the building is not properly cut out. So what you need to do is to basically, like when you have a selection, what you can do is, so basically select your alpha channel, and if you're going to refine edge, you can shift the edge. So what you do is you shift it inside, feather it a little bit, like 0.3, 0.2, something like that, and that way you have your selection that is going to be inside, and then you just have to revert it, and that way you'll be able to delete this sort of a white halo pretty easily. So that's something you kind of want to do there. Another comment I can do is regarding these trees, which are like, the thing you can notice pretty easily is that these 2 guys are the same, and so is this guy here, I think. So what you want to do is to, like, if you really want to put trees there, what you do is you can use this one, but just flip it vertically, and then maybe try to remove a couple of branches so that it's less noticeable that it's the same tree, because otherwise it just really pops out, and it's not what we want to do. I said at the very beginning that the point of view was alright. I mean, like, it's definitely working, but there's something that I tend to suggest when we are dealing with a sort of box-like architecture, is to, and especially when it's like really long, it's to actually just do some sort of really simple frontal view. That way you really emphasize the way the building works. But I have to admit that in this case it's working sort of okay, so I wouldn't care too much about that. couple of other things that are kind of weird is the way the sunlight is working. I mean, there's a halo here, which basically means our sun is somewhere around here. As you can see, there are some, like the shadows here are not going the right way, and they're actually like these guys here. The shadows here are not even facing the same direction as the one for the people here. So there's something that's something you want to really be aware of when you're dealing with shadows. And also there's something kind of weird which I don't really understand, is that how is these trucks here that are behind the building here can get light, whereas the sun is here. So it's just impossible, like physically speaking. So you want to be kind of conscious about what's happening with your lighting, because it sometimes can really be deceptive. So I guess that's pretty much it for the lighting. Also, there's something kind of weird, is that there are no shadows from the building. Like there should be at least some sort of cast shadows, sorry, here, which we actually don't see. Even though it's lit from the inside, it shouldn't completely make the other shadow disappear. So that's something I'm sort of questioning. Something you can do to also improve your image, because there's something like a bit weird with this part of the wall, because, well, I think we're dealing with bricks here, which is, I'm actually sort of wondering, it might be wood, but I'm pretty sure it's bricks, and there's like an interesting brickwork, so let's say it's bricks. The good thing with bricks is that since they have like all these tiny joints, it's easy to, like, they have a really interesting way of reflecting lights, and this is not really happening here. So if you don't want to re-render it by like adding reflectivity or change the glossiness, what you can do is just play around with a burn and dodge tool. So what you do is, as you can see, by just using the burn tool that is here, I can create some sort of a variation in the building. And also what I could do is, if I want to emphasize the joint here, I can do it pretty simply by drawing lines in between all those joints, and that way I can sort of make it like more bumpy without having to re-render anything, and it sort of makes the whole material more realistic. And also you can do it with the other, like its counterpart, which is the dodge tool, and using it that way you can sort of emphasize the reflection that it's going to happen from the sun sort of sweeping along the wall here. So as you can see, the difference is quite noticeable as in how it changes. It might have been a little bit overdone here, whoops, sorry. But overall, I think it's much better. You can use it as well on the ground floor here, on the sort of asphalt texture. As you can see, it sort of creates interesting effects. So I think it's quite good. In terms of contrast, we can see we can change it a little bit, even though it's sort of okay. Like it's it's just because I want to be I'm sorry, a little bit picky, but if you increase it a little bit, it's a good way to sort of make the foreground disappear and have the actual building standing out with the artificial light inside. So what you do is you set your like a level of adjustment layer, and you use in the layer mask, you just makes it like disappear a little bit in the background, because you don't want it to be too much contrasted, because it's not the point. What you want is to increase the contrast on what's interesting in your image. The other thing you can do is check the saturation. So as you can see, like in this type of scene, the saturation is supposed to be quite homogeneous. So what you can see here is that this bright red is way too saturated in comparison to the rest of the image. So we just use like a saturation adjustment layer and decrease this part of the image. The other thing that is noticeable is that the red of the trucks here is not really, like, it's not really red. So, and it's not good in two ways. Is that it's actually good to have like some sort of bright red, and also since you're dealing with artificial lighting inside, it should increase the saturation of the trucks, because artificial light tend to increase saturation of what they sort of touch. So by using use saturation and using it only in the red part, you can increase the red's saturation and just use it on the trucks. Final thing is, I think you can just darken a little bit the trees, because they were a little bit too bright, especially this one. But I think it's pretty much everything I gotta say on this image. So as you can see, it's really simple tips, but you can see it tremendously changes the feeling of it. I'm not a big fan of the birds here, but whatever. So yeah, I guess that's pretty much it. So hopefully you've learned some interesting tips there, and if you have any questions or comments, just feel free to drop by, and yeah. See you guys.
Tonight,